This is one of our more luxury end wreaths, and we'll show you how to create it with a neutral color palette with a couple of pops of color. Welcome to Arts and Props with Gail. Hi, I'm Gail. The links are provided below. We'll start off with the beginning of the pumpkin base materials. You'll need a pumpkin wire wreath form, 3 packages of Dollar Tree mesh tubing, one of Joann Fabrics fabric quarters. You might be able to find them at the Dollar Tree, hot glue gun, glue sticks and scissors, as well as Beacon fabric tack glue. Also, we'll need something to cut the materials out, so we'll need fabric cutting board, ruler and roller cutter, and Floral Garden cotton nautical rope. Most of the materials are bought at the Dollar Tree. The first step is to add the mesh tubing to the wire form. Begin by adding a drop of glue on one of the inner corners of one of the end sections of the pumpkin wire form. Then press one end of the mesh tube into the glue and hold it until it's secured. I wrap the mesh tube around the top rim 2 times to fill in the inner corner. Now I'm adding a dab of glue on the wires in the same section and wrapping the mesh tube around it to fill it in all the way down to the bottom. So I put glue on both sides of the rim, then I wrap the mesh tubing around, and I continue that all the way down to the very bottom. When I finish with one package of the mesh tubing, I just stick the very end up in the hole created by the mesh tubing going around like a donut. And then I begin the next piece by sticking it up inside that hole as well and just wrap it around so then it's completely hidden. Continuing with the mesh tubing, I will complete 3 more sections by alternating them. Prior to cutting the material, I recommend using starch to make the material more stiff so it's easier to work with. My brown buffalo pattern is cut to 16 inches high by 19 inches wide. I will take that material and cut 2 6-inch pieces, and then I'll leave the leftover piece a little bit wider so that way I can add that one in the center to make sure that it's completely covered. To glue this on the back, I'm going to use this fabric tack glue because it's meant to stick material to material. It's a sure bond and it's machine washable, which means that it would be waterproof if this was hung outside. And I'm just going to put a bead along each side and then leave a little space on the side so I can also add some hot glue to hold it in place once it's drying on the pumpkin itself. I'm going to use a little hot glue on this in a minute. Let me go ahead and place this in the center here, upside down. And see if I can form a bond here. And I do want a little bit over each edge here, so I can work with that later. And actually, I think I'm gonna just let this dry. I do have the hot glue gun, so we'll put a little bit of this on the sides too, just to see if that holds a little bit better. I'm gonna start in the center and work out. What I wanna do with this while it's still wet is to bring this forward, because we're gonna bring this around the back side. So I'm gonna do that real quick, and we'll just kind of fold it in so it looks like this. And then I'm just gonna use the fabric tack glue and hot glue gun to go around the edge here. Let's see what that looks like on the front side. I'm going to glue it on the inside here. Going back to this glue. This dries clear too. So it's really going to be about sticking up to the edges as much as possible to get this all straight, and I'll come back and show this to you in a moment. When holding this up, I'm just taking my hand like this in the back side and just really pressing it together and holding it for a count of 35. And that seems to be doing the trick. I'm just folding this under a little bit more at the end. I'll use hot glue and the fabric tack glue right here. So so I can really hold it in place. Up here at the top, I cut a line down the center and 2 lines where the stem is, so that way I can fold it over. And I think to get the best look, I'm gonna start from the center first and pull it taut, and then I'll bring this down. And I'm still using the fabric tack glue. I wanna make sure that I get that rip right there, that cut, glued on here, so that way it won't rip anymore. And then I'm just gonna glue this part down on top of it. And there's the top. Notice how it's kind of sticky, and don't be alarmed by that. I'm gonna take this rope and I'm gonna cover it up. I added one here already, and I'll just go over what I did. To add the rope, you want to make sure the ends have tape on it, otherwise it will unravel, just in case you haven't used rope before. And we're not gluing it onto the fabric, we're gluing it right onto the side of the mesh right here. I'm going to use the hot glue gun this time, and I'm just gluing it from here all the way up. Once I get here, I'm going to leave it a little loose. I'm going to wrap it with Scotch tape. I prefer the clear tape, and I'll wrap it twice, so that way I can cut it and make sure that it holds together. And we're just putting glue right here on the edge there, a little bit to get started. And I'm staying a little bit up from the bottom because I'm going to wrap rope around that too. I'm just going to press this up against the side. So I see a little bit of the metal right there. Another way I can fix that is by putting a little hot glue in there, let it dry, and then cover it with the orange marker too. So you have a couple of options on how you want to clean up any edges that you may not like. Then we'll tape it. So I know I'm going to right here. I'm taping it tight. Okay, and I'll cut it a little bit shorter than the rim, and that should work nicely. Here's the tip. You can see how loose it is right here. All I'm gonna do is roll this material up on the side. So I'm just putting a little glue in here. And then I'm rolling the material up. So that's how I'm getting it to be more taut. What I wanna do here is just wrap the rope around and see if I'm gonna have enough to finish this. And it looks like it's gonna be really close, so I'm gonna pull it really tight. Now that the main pumpkin is finished, we're going to add a little twine to the top of the stem. I'm going to change the stem later on. However, I do want to add several rows of twine here close to the top of the pumpkin so that I can thread my stems through it. So I'm going up all the way. However, you only have to go up maybe 6 to 8 rows. Just make sure it's thoroughly secured before adding the stems. Now we're moving on to the fun part, which are our floral picks and materials. To begin with, I bought these materials at Joann Fabrics. Here's the item numbers from Joann Fabrics. Just go to joann.com if you'd like to purchase them. We are not affiliated with Joann Fabrics. This is just for your convenience. Check out the coupons to make sure you're getting the best deal. You will also want to have a pair of wire cutters and some cable ties that I bought at the Dollar Tree. Starting with one of the flocking reed stems, fold it down in half and then thread the stem through the underneath portion of the twine that we just added onto the stem. Then cut the stem shorter and take a zip tie and tie it on to one of the wires and the stem to secure it. I am securing this so that the stem hangs a little bit lower on the pumpkin on the left side. Now I am threading 2 pumpkin stems through the same hole and securing them on the back side with another zip tie. At this time, I'm going to stop adding floral picks and form my pumpkin stem. I'm using foil to just scrunch it together to make the stem, and then I'm taking a mesh tubing to go around it just like we did with the wire. When I'm forming the foil stem over the wire stem, I am twisting it the opposite way of the floral pick that is going out to the left, and I'm curling it upward just to make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Now I'm using hot glue to wrap the twine around all the way down to the bottom of the stem. Oh yeah, it's coming together now. We have one more stem to add to the back side, and it will go out to the right. It's the last cream floral reed stem. I am just going to zip tie that onto the back, glue on some sunflowers, and ta-da! Finish! We're done! Yay! Awesome! If you like this project, here's some more of our Halloween projects. Just click on the end screen above.